She's back.
Yay.
Welcome back, Kara.
Welcome home. Back to the good old USA.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a journey. I mean, lots of plane cancellations and delays. And I've learned quite a bit about traveling with a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old overseas.
Well, tell us, where did you go?
I was in France. One of my oldest friends got married to a Frenchman. Yes, in like the northeastern part of France. So where the wedding was at was in a town called Mittelbergheim.
Okay.
And it's on basically like the German-Swiss border of France.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So when we first got there, the kids were immediately, obviously 11.5-hour flight from LA.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Then we landed in Zurich and then we had to drive 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So when we got to town, thankfully, I'm really thankful that everything looked like Beauty and the Beast because it was in that part of, where there's a German influence to the houses. So right away, Killian was like, oh my gosh, where's Belle live? So that was good. But the hard part I realized was I had not prepared my kids for certain things that they were going to experience in a new country that they would maybe say out loud and embarrass me as their thoughts have no filter when they come across those things.
Share, please.
First of all, were they good on the plane? How was the plane ride?
The plane ride was good because there were TVs in the plane and we had all set up and they were very good. They actually watched 2 movies and then went to bed for 6 hours almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
The problem happened just when their bodies are just dealing with the jet lag and they already have no filter. Especially the 6-year-old. Like if he sees something, he says it,
Yeah.
So what I had not prepared him for immediately was the fact that there would be new smells,
Okay.
right? That you would come across.
Oh, no. Okay.
Like Les Poissons?
Like fromage.
Fromage.
Okay.
Right?
Fromage. Okay.
Yes.
And, a lot of the cheeses are stinky. Right?
Okay. Right.
And so the very first restaurant we went to eat at when we had just come in and we were in a small town called Colmar, which is really interesting. He was excited about because throughout the whole town, there were little triangles that had the Statue of Liberty on it because the artist who created the Statue of Liberty grew up in that town.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And if you follow the triangles, it takes you to little parts of history. So he was already excited about that. But when we sat down to eat, we were outside and you have to remember French culture is a little more private than us.
Right. Correct.
And my kids, even though they were born in Los Angeles, are like from Chicago. They're so loud. Like they're like me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
they're your
loud.
kids.
They're my kids. Like
Yeah.
they're loud and they talk. It's stream of consciousness or whatever they're thinking. So when the first thing comes to the table, they had a lot of the local delicacies where Brian was really excited. Like he was in love. There was this thing that was like, it looked like hash in a skillet with potatoes and stinky fromage and egg and like and ham and like there's like bacon in it. Brian was like, this is heaven. Immediately, the kids started to react like, ooh, really loud. What is that? And you have like 15 French people around you like, who the fuck are you people? Like,
Right. These rude little American children.
And loudly, you know what I mean? And then the smell, like Killian just kept saying, what is that smell? There's a terrible smell over and over again. And
Was he aiming this at any particular person or he was just blurting this out loud?
Blurting this out. Now imagine
Okay.
you're in a cute, beautiful town with a cafe and you're finally arrived in France and you're just like, this is going to be the best vacation ever. You've ordered your first glass of like rosé, because the region you're in. And there goes your son at 6 just yelling at the top of his lungs, what is that smell? Okay.
But at least he wasn't pointing at anyone and yelling that. That could have been worse.
He was covering his face and nose like this.
Yeah,
You know what
I was
mean?
going to say,
yeah,
my
right.
kids would start making the sound,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing is about Killian, I will say this, even though he has no filter, Delaney sometimes if she smells that smell, she's like, I ain't trying it. So Brian convinces Killian to taste this and he's like, okay, it's actually not too bad, but the smell is terrible. So then he's like talking like, this tastes good, but why does it smell so bad? You know what I mean? And it just like doesn't stop.
Oh, gross. The drama's about to end, 'cause gross. Stop asking for a friend, taboos. Icky's what we do, it's just science. Yeah, it's not so weird. Your gross out journey starts right here on Oh, Gross.
Well, welcome to Oh Gross. We tackle topics most people shy away from, like parasites in your sushi.
I'm Kara Kurtz. I'm your host, and I happen to be a crime journalist and investigative producer.
And I'm Jenny, your co-host and scientist specializing in biology, alongside my bestie, Molly.
It's Molly.
Now we're bringing in the experts, so you'll never have to say again, I'm just asking for a friend.
Oh, gross.
You're going to travel with your children. You should talk about things they are going to experience. Of course, I told them about the Eiffel Tower. Of course, I told them a lot of history. I told them about the Statue of Liberty. I did a lot of historical things, but I didn't set them up to succeed, to understand some of the cultural and food, things that they were going to experience. So I think that is something that people should think about. And also, you also have to be careful. When you tell a 6-year-old too much, as you know, then they on purpose will try to embarrass you too.
Yes.
Right? So it was a fine line. So he was pretty shocked about the cheese smells. And then the smoking. So my kids are anti-smokers, right?
Right.
So they were just like, oh my God, he's going to die. Why are all these people smoking? They're going to die. And we're sitting outside this cafe. And I'm like, we've been here an hour and a half, right? In France. We have 10 days to go. Like, how am I going to, explain?
Well, here's the thing. Maybe they could get it all out in the first day,
Right.
and then you can explain it to them how to act the rest of the time.
Then you're in this fine line of like, well, smoking's bad, right, Mom?
Right.
And you're like, got 10 people staring at you smoking who are hearing this conversation, who clearly speak English but pretend like they don't, because they don't, right? Because they can hear everything we're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're sitting here and you're just kind of like, what are we going to do, And so I had to sort of like dance around. Like, I was like, so in some places and cultures, smoking is not considered as taboo as it is, in other cultures. But then but can it still kill you?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it can kill you. But
Yeah.
we also can't judge other people's decisions, right? And then they're like, so then they started holding their breath.
Oh, no.
That's what David did one time. And they're so dramatic about it. Like, he'd be like, oh, I don't want to get any of the smoke in my lungs. Oh,
And then there's like, no, you can't go inside because most of these places in this quaint community don't have air conditioning inside, right?
Right.
So it was this whole little thing. I was like, oh my gosh, like all the things I thought I prepared for before this trip, I was like way wrong. Like I should have gone over, you will smell stinky cheese and you will be okay with it. And even I guess too, you might see people smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's their decision, and we have to be respectful to other people, But it was all happening in real time and loud. And then this is all the first hour and a half. And then the bees start coming. So I didn't know this, but I found out later there has been a huge influx of bees.
Oh.
Honeybees or
yeah, I think they're honeybees. No, I saw a lot of wasps though too. So I don't know if it's both.
Okay.
I saw a lot of honeybees and I saw a lot of wasps. In Europe, my friend Rachel, who lives in Italy, as you know, she told me when she drove up to help watch the kids at the wedding that she had just gotten stung in her garden the day before. There just seems to be a lot of bees. So everywhere there were tons of bees. And for some reason, I don't know why, it's probably the same reason that mosquitoes bite me and not Brian. It was the bees were it was our table. It was they knew, you know what I mean? And
was it the wine or was it the stinky cheese?
Yeah, no, because everybody's drinking the wine and the stinky cheese.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I was just trying to fit in with the wine and the stinky cheese.
It was her fresh American meat.
Yeah, it was my fresh American meat there. The bees were swarming our table. So now you've got Delaney screeching and screaming at the top of her lungs as if she has been stung by 10 bees at once.
The dramatics.
It's so drama. I don't know where she gets the drama from. Clearly not me.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian.
Yeah, it's definitely Brian, right? Brian's so dramatic. So she's freaking out about the bees. And that was another thing I realized that, and that has nothing to do with traveling, overseas, but it's anywhere. It's talking to your kids about just some appropriate responses when you're in public. I know we talk about mind your manners, say please and thank you, but we're not you cannot go hysterical when you see a bee in public because, it's disrupting other people's meals and the bee will chase you.
Yeah.
Because bees, smell fear. And it's
But don't you think even though if you try to prepare the kids and tell them this, sometimes their ages, they're not going to hear it.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to remember
or
it,
their
to be
personality.
honest.
I mean, Delaney's 11 and a
Or the
half,
per- yeah.
and I think she would remember it, but her personality is she just gets really worried. Now, Killian, so what Brian was really smart because now he swoops in and he's like, okay, here's the deal. Bees smell fear. And so if you freak out, they're going to chase you. Right.
Okay, that's awesome.
And you're going to have whatever. Killian picks up on this right away. And he's like, well, I'm just going to sit here then. Right. So he tries it out and you see like the wasp just like swarming under his nose and then around him. And he's just sitting completely still. Like, right. And then Brian also adds they're attracted to carbon monoxide. So when you start freaking out, you breathe heavier.
Mm-hmm.
They come closer to you. And now you're putting them in a position where they think it's fight or flight because they're picking up on your carbon monoxide.
Mm-hmm.
So now Killian's like this, stoically not moving his mouth or breathing. Right. And Delaney is like freaking out. She has like gotten up, left the table. She's standing on the other side. But guess what happens? The bee floats away. And immediately from that point on, no matter what restaurant we were in, Killian kept saying to Delaney, because Delaney kept running. Like, no matter what I told her, it did not matter. She would jump up and like, I'm out of here. And it was about like the third or fourth day, Killian finally said, Delaney, I don't move. They go away. Stop it. They're chasing your fear.
There you go. There you go.
You know, so she did get a little better with the bees. But yeah, the smoking thing, it was a theme the whole trip, like trying to get them off of like saving people's lives and being a PSA. Do not smoke. That was very difficult, you know, and it was hard as a parent too, because you're like, well, you're not wrong. But I also don't think you should, you know, unsolicited advice to French people.
Right.
But it was interesting because I think that our biggest fear as parents, and I looked this up and there's been tons of studies done on this. Most parents, when it comes to travel, are afraid of being embarrassed.
Yes.
It is the biggest fear of being embarrassed and secondarily judged, right? Because with the embarrassment comes the judgment that people think I'm a bad parent. My kids are saying this stuff out loud. And this is like my whole like, you know, analogy I'm going to do for you guys. Just like the bees chase us with the anxiety. I noticed when I started me and Brian started getting more and more frustrated with them saying these things out loud, like stinky cheese and oh my gosh, and the smoking, you're now creating more attention to yourself.
Right.
You're manifesting your biggest fear because now you are the show. If you just like ignored it,
right,
and realized I don't care if someone judges me because the cheese does stink, but it's damn good.
Yeah.
And you know, and sort of just like breathe through it. You're not creating more of the chaos. And so I think another thing too, as a parent, what you do is like kind of anticipate what new things are they going to experience, right? And talk to them about it. And also talk to yourself about it so that you know if me and Brian had thought this out and we had been like, okay, they're gonna smell stinky cheese for the first time a lot, right? And it was a joke, we probably wouldn't have like as panicked as much as we did the first day where it was like, oh my gosh, everyone is staring at us and my kids are like, what is that smell? You know, because you know the fromage is everywhere. But it was interesting. I was like, I never thought of that. I mean, have you girls ever thought about that when you go to a new place, like to really anticipate what might be so new to them that they're going to embarrass you?
I mean, I don't think it really happens until you get there.
Right. Sometimes you're right.
You know, I would have never thought going to France, I would have never thought about the stinky cheese.
Right. Right.
Until I got there. I mean, really.
That's true. We can't anticipate that. But I think that as parents, you almost have to expect that at some point, if you have small children, you have to roll with the punches because you're going to be humbled. I mean, you know, we can prepare all we want. I'm the mom that tried to prepare everything in the diaper bag when my kids were both little. And I mean, one of my kids was the kid that was in the swim diaper with the, you know, the thing over the swim diaper and had to clear the pool because he had a blowout.
He had a baby Ruth.
More than a baby Ruth, like a
he had the Rhea.
blowout.
Did he have the Rhea?
The Reeds in the pool on vacation, and the whole pool got to clear out. And then on another trip, the other kid was the one who barfed in the pool,
Right.
and had to clear the pool out. And so you're just like, you know, I've been humbled.
And you can't control those things.
You can't prepare for everything.
You just have to roll with the punches. It is what it is, and you just get to a point sometimes where you just have to do what you have to do, and you can't worry about what everyone's thinking of you, and you just roll with the punches and try to settle your kid down, and that's all you can do.
The best part of the trip was when we got to Paris, there were bidets.
Oh, did they get to try a bidet?
Wait, did you have to pay for the bidet?
No, it was in the hotel room.
Okay, gotcha.
Killian runs to it at first. I mean, he's the one who discovers it first because we're like, bring the bags in, of course. And all of a sudden, me and Brian hear this high-pitched cackling noise because it's like tickling his butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a screeching high tickle, cackle or whatever. And then it gets used to it and you're waiting. And then all of a sudden you hear the dryer go on. And then
They love it. They love the bidets. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I need a fancy bidet. Like I've decided 48 hours with that bidet, with the bidet in the hotel room. First of all, I felt like my kids they still use some toilet paper, half the toilet paper.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm always constantly worried about Killian and like, is he wiping his arse good enough?
Yes. Yes.
It is a huge problem 5 to 7. I don't care
It
what
is.
any mom who says that it's not a problem 5 to 7, especially with boys, it's like, oh my God.
You don't want them to walk around with dingle butt all day at
No.
school.
Dingle
Right.
butt at school, right? I was like,
Right.
I didn't worry about Killian's butt for 48 hours.
Yes.
It was like,
Exactly.
it was amazing.
Yes.
I was like,
it is.
For that alone, I was like, everybody needs to get the bidets going on for every mom out there.
Yes.
But now that I've had the Toto, okay, I don't know. I mean, that thing, like, it went up. It knew what to do. I mean, there was like a million. I mean, it was like, I was in heaven. It was like when we were leaving to check out, I had to run back one more time and pee just because I wanted to. I was like, I'll be down in a minute. Take the bags down. I just want to say goodbye to the bidet. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. But it was very helpful with the kids, I think, too.
It is. It's great for wiping, especially with little ones. It's really helped mine. And it makes them more aware.
Where I was going to say that, too. It made
Yes.
him more aware of like, oh, this is what a clean butt should feel like.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that'd be great for teenage boys
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Not only little
Yeah,
boys.
exactly. Or for teenage boys, this is what a clean toilet seat feels like because it cleans, it cleans
Yes.
itself.
Well,
you know?
sometimes even husbands,
Yes.
need to take that lesson too. It's all boys.
I mean, how many times have we all sat down in the middle of the night and like,
yes.
and either your child or your husband has missed the shot?
It is so frustrating.
Or left the seat
Or they drip on the floor and you
Or left the
stand in
seat
it.
up and you don't know it yet.
Yes, and you
Yes.
fall in. Oh,
you
and
fall
you
in. Yes.
Yes, that's the worst.
yes.
So that was the thing too, because it went down automatically, the seat, and it came up. I was like, this solves like
Oh.
all the problems. Like, I
That's
mean, it's like,
amazing.
and not to get like too gross, but our podcast is called Oh Gross. I feel like, you remember when we got to Paris, it was when, first of all, the majority of the time we were in France was that crazy heat wave that hit that part of Europe. And it was like really, really hot the day of the wedding too. And you're sweaty. And while we might not have sweaty balls like men, we still sweat.
Yeah,
right?
we do.
Yes.
We sweat.
We do.
And I felt like the bidet helped in general. Like I just felt
Oh.
cleaner all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And it just felt like that was great.
It
And
sprayed out the crevices that
yeah,
can
it
also
it did all the
sweat.
hard work. It did all the hard work.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, I was really, 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 I'm not gonna lie, really sad about the bidet. when we checked into the last night of our hotel and it was like we had a downgrade, because like on my birthday, we stayed in the nicer hotel. And then the night before we were leaving, we went to the other side of Paris.
And there was no bidet there?
There was no bidet. And it was back to all of us being in one big room together. That was the thing too, traveling. So the first 4 nights, it was called a suite. We had a gigantic room, one big room. So the first night, the kids were sleeping in the pull-out bed and we were in our bed. But you were still allowed to bring a roller in. Well, the kids were fighting until like 2 a.m. in the
Good
bed.
times.
So I went down to the front desk and I was like, I need another bed. My kids are going to kill each other. Like they're jet lagged, you know what I mean? And they were fighting over like stuffies, you know what I mean? Which I'm like, come on, But they were just really tired. So then we got the rollaway. And then my friend Rachel drove up from Italy, which should have been a 4.5, 5-hour drive. And there was a crazy festival going on with horse-drawn carriages in the middle of the road in Switzerland through the Alps.
No.
I have to put pictures of this on the website. It was hilarious. She's like, so I figured out why I'm stuck in 3 hours of traffic. There are horses and carriages.
And carriages everywhere.
Wow.
It was some sort of festival happening in the Swiss Alps. So when she was coming over, God bless her, 9 hours to get to us almost.
Wow.
So for 2 nights, it was the 5 of us in this room. And Rachel slept with Delaney, and then Killian went in the cot, and then me and Brian. It was like hilarious. And then every morning, me, Rachel, and Brian would like go out on because it had like a little like rooftop balcony, tiny thing, and we'd go out there and like just like drink coffee to get away from the kids. So I'm like, we are all like in this room together. It was like crazy. So the majority of our trip, we were all in the room with the kids, no matter what, except for the night of my birthday, we had 2 separate rooms. So
Good.
it was,
That's nice.
yeah, that was
Well,
nice.
and happy birthday, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
know. Happy birthday.
Not a
What
day
a
o-
nice birthday trip.
I know, not a day over 30 over here.
There you go. I'm sorry we did not get you a cameo of Lance Bass this time.
This time. But yeah, it was interesting too. It was like planning out and knowing. That was another tip. Like, I have lived in Europe. I have traveled many, many countries. This was my first time traveling with my kids. And while I had a great checklist, I had not thought about the occupancy rules, and hotel rooms are different country to country. And sometimes, like in like Italy, when you're booking a room, it'll say only 2 people allowed, but then you call there and like, no, there's like 4, you're fine. But like, it was different everywhere we went, what the rules were.
Yeah, that would be weird. Like, what if you have parents and like a toddler and a new baby?
Babies were okay, believe it or not. That I did look into. So the majority
Okay.
of hotels, a crib was allowed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Is it just because of the room size? Is that the reason for the
I
occupancy
asked-
rule? Or
I asked in one of the hotels, and it was like occupancy laws are different, like in Paris than other places, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like what we noticed was the majority of things that you had to get were kind of like a suite, but not like what you thought of, like not what we think of suite, where you're like
right,
Las Vegas suite, you know?
right.
It means more like a gigantic room, like a single. I mean, they do have nice suites too, but I mean, like a lot of them were like one big room, and then you could have like another bed in it. Or a lot of them, they would say you have to have 2 connecting rooms, and a lot of the hotels won't guarantee a connector.
Huh. Okay.
Wait, do you want to know where the kids were the most behaved? This is going to be the funniest ever.
Where?
Okay, so we started in the northeastern part of France, and that's where my friend's wedding was, and it was beautiful, like garden outside, quaint town.
Mhm.
That was when the kids were like, this all looks like, Beauty and the Beast. Then we went to the Champagne region, Epernay,
Nice.
for champagne tasting.
Okay.
There was more for the kids to do in Epernay than there were in the other town. Like every champagne house, I was like, God bless them, has something that kids are interested in.
That's great.
Right? Yeah. Like the first one we went to had a train that literally went underground in a cave
Oh, that's cool.
and told the story of how the champagne line started and the house and how it was built. And Killian was fascinated. Delaney was fascinated. They loved it.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Then another place we went to had grape juice tasting for them.
Okay, that's cool.
That's fun.
Right. And or like one was grape and one was like a pomegranate grape kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we went to Perrier-Jouët, because I was like, I'm going to Perrier-Jouët, I don't care. There's so much to look at because they have beautiful blown glass everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids were just like fascinated. I thought that was going to be the hardest part of the trip. I was like, well, we ain't going to go tasting because what are they going to do?
Right. Well, that's awesome. That worked out.
Yeah, that worked out for me.
Did they enjoy Paris?
Yes, they did. I mean, they were living their best life. Were we living our best life? I don't know. I will show you pictures. I mean, it's pretty. I think I sent you one, Jenny, of them where Killian and Delaney are in their little French hats. And
Mm-hmm.
Killian, okay, another thing to be aware of is that your kids will tell other people things like bartenders.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, things that are not true. So we don't drink soda in our house. Killian is allowed to have like a kiddie cocktail or a soda if it's like a party or something like that. Delaney never, to this day, won't drink any of that stuff. Killian told almost every bartender anywhere we were at that he was allowed to drink only Coke Zeros. So could they keep bringing him Coke Zeros? Because he figured if there's no caffeine, right, and there was no sugar, he was free and clear. So we would sit down, and the first time it happened, Brian and I were like, oh, maybe when we were talking, he ordered it. And then the second time, we went to take a picture of the Eiffel Tower because we were at this really cool rooftop bar that you had to walk through chickens on the roof. There were chickens like in a cage on the roof, and then they had like a garden, and then you come to this like little thing, and then you can see the Eiffel Tower. So we got up to take a picture of the chickens, and we come back down, and there's a Coke Zero again. We're like, what is going on? So finally I asked, like, oh, he said he's only allowed to drink Coke Zeros. I'm like, meaning he can't drink water? Basically telling people, keep bringing the Coke Zeros all night, buddy. I'll take care of you.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm saying that.
He learned.
That is amazing. That's one of the best stories I've ever heard.
I have
love
a
it.
photo. I have to, I'm just going to, I have to just show you this. Hold on real quick. I
This
have
is not the picture of Brian eating.
No, Brian.
Correct?
No, Brian. Did you see the picture of Brian eating? Brian was living his best life too because he loved all the food for sure. But the kids, it was like they had everybody eating on the palm of their hand. I mean, they were croissants all day long for them. They love macarons. So they were like in heaven. You know what I mean, with all that too.
We need to come up with a little theme song now for Killian. Pimpin' ain't easy.
Wait, no, you have to see this picture. You're gonna pee in your pants. Here we go. Okay, so this was his little hat that he'd wear to charm everybody. Okay, so this is them together living their best life.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
cute.
they're so cute.
Right. But now this is the story I'm telling you. This is what I come back to the table and find.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Just the way the brim of his hat is.
That is amazing.
He's just living his best French life. You know what I mean?
He is slick.
It's so cute.
Slick.
It was funny. And also the truth is they're on vacation, just like we have to remember that too, right? Someone said
Right.
that to me at the wedding, a friend of mine who's got an older son. She's like, if I could go back in time, the two things I would do is not worry as much and just ignore my son sometimes. because little boys really do try to get under your skin when they
They
know
do.
they can
They
get the attention,
do.
right? And she's like, if I just ignored it, she's like, my life would have been so much better, right? Because I spent so much time buying into it. But then another friend said to me, you know what? She tries to remind herself they're on vacation too.
Right.
Right.
So we're excited about floating in the pool, having a martini, seeing, a piece of art. They're excited about sneaking and telling the bartender, send me those Coke Zeros.
Sure, right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
We do all these things. I was reading this article about parents and traveling and all our fears that come up. And like one of the biggest mistakes they say parents make is giving kids a kid's suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just giving them a large suitcase on the trip, right? To bring whatever they do want. Because you spend a lot of time. I mean, even with my kids, I was like one stuffy.
Mm-hmm.
One stuffy.
Right.
Right?
Right.
What would happen if you take a normal sized suitcase and half of it is filled with what the necessities are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other half, okay, kids, you have this space. I don't care what you do with it. You don't get any more.
Right.
And I'm not carrying your backpack if you overweigh it, right? Because when you're checking the bag, whether it's small or big, it don't matter. But a lot of parents spend a lot of time being like, oh no, we have to pack less.
Right.
And arguing with
Right.
them. And I thought that was genius.
Well, and when you give them that power, they're going to enjoy packing it. I can just see mine would be like, okay, now this is what we have to do,
Right.
and enjoy actually packing what they want to bring with them. So
Exactly.
it'd be a big deal.
I wish I knew that a couple years ago, because we always had an issue with Jackson. He wanted to bring 15 of his friends, his stuffed animals. He wanted to bring, I don't know, a flashlight. He wanted to bring all this random stuff. Our fear is that stuff was going to get left.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And then he would be more upset about that. But I mean, it was a constant struggle. Okay, you can't have 15, but you can have 3.
Right.
And you can't have this, but you can pick this. So we tried to do it more like that, but I never thought about it. Like,
No, and
okay, you get
spent-
half the suitcase.
Did
Yeah.
you have that? And also like the time spent debating with them to get them down from 5 to 1 to 15 to 3 instead
Oh,
of
the
just saying,
struggle was real.
yeah.
Whew.
So, and also, Molly, it gives me another idea too. I would even take a step farther for a tip is let them have the half the suitcase and then make them take inventory of what they packed.
Mm-hmm. That's
Like
a good
if
idea.
they can't write themselves yet, write it for them. Sit with them and say, okay, what do we got? Number 1, number 2, you know what I mean? So they have
Right.
that power, that checklist. And if they can write, you know what I mean? Like, well, Killian can read, but his writing, he's still asking, for some spelling. Wherever your child's at, you're empowering them. And then also, like, they're going to feel like it's their job. Like a lot of what I did with Killian on the trip to try to, ease stuff, and Brian too, is like, we would give him a map and say, you're in charge of this, right? And then
Okay.
he would try to find, like in the town where the Statue of Liberty was, and you had to find the different, monuments or historical buildings. We're like, you got to find this. And he felt like very empowered, and he behaved better because he's like empowered. With the packing, it would have been the same thing. If I had said to Killian, I know his personality, okay, this half the suitcase is whatever you want. You need to be in charge of your inventory though. So every time we move hotels, make sure you check your inventory list. Because let me tell you, we left a lot of shit in a lot of places.
Right.
He was crying because Rachel had bought him this beautiful stuffed owl, and he left it in one of the hotels.
Oh, no.
Hotel texted me just now and said they found it. Brian's like, don't tell him that they found it because it's going to cost more to ship it from
Right.
France.
Right. Right.
I was like, I got to find a dupe on the internet. But like there was another thing, like he forgot like his favorite pajama top. But if it's the things he picks and they have their inventory, same with my daughter, Delaney, they're empowered to remember what they have. We're not stressing out all the time about, the dummy check in the room constantly is what we're always calling it. We still can't find stuff, So I think
That's
that's
genius.
it's,
That's
it's,
actually genius.
if it's not going to cost you more money, give them a little power. Like, give them a little power. And that same goes for you, men. If your women's shoes on one side of the suitcase, even if there's 15 of them and it doesn't make sense to you, right? If it's not going to cost any more money, just have the boundary be, this is your space. Do whatever you want with it. I'm not going to look.
And that's such a good tip because look, men, if you're going to argue about what the woman is packing that much, then you're going to have a bad trip.
Right.
You gotta
exactly.
let her Bring what she needs. Otherwise, she's going to feel that she's ugly or that she doesn't feel comfortable. So
Well, we
when,
need
when
choices.
we're traveling, we need choices
We need
because we may
choices.
have a day where we're constipated or we're having cramps and we're not going to feel, the best. So you got to let us have some choices, guys.
I brought a whole suitcase of shoes, and I don't care what Brian said. I brought a whole suitcase of shoes and handbags. I'm like, I am going to Paris for my birthday. I'm having shoe choices, right?
Right.
It's the same thing for them, right? If we had done a bigger bag for Killian his own bag, it wouldn't have cost us any more money in check-in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you look at it that way. And I thought, oh, that's really smart. So I just think looking back on it, and then also understanding how many breaks you need to take during the day,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's
Build that
important
in.
with kids too,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah.
We thought we could do one night in Disneyland and one night in Paris. 2 days, 1 night, 2 days, because we would get to Paris on noon and have the whole day and not go to the train at night. And quickly realized when we got to Paris, there is no way we're hitting the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, like all that, right? We're never
Oh,
hitting
yeah,
all-
that's a lot. That's
We're
a
with
lot.
children. We're with
Mhm.
children. We have small children, right? And unless it's Disneyland, they ain't moving fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like they're,
For sure.
they're just not. So we ended up changing our trip, and it ended up being it was 3 nights, 2 full days in Paris, and that was perfect. Also, a lot has changed. The last time I had been to Paris, it was 20 years ago. You didn't have
Yes.
to have a reservation to go to Notre Dame. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
Inside, it was very easy to get into most of the museums. You didn't have to sign up for a private tour or a group tour, So there were a lot of things that I took for granted. Like I had planned all the Eiffel Tower stuff ahead of time. Like we're going to eat here, we're going to see it then. And the other ones I was like, oh, it'll be fine. As a producer, I kind of flubbed that a bit, but it was fine. It worked out in the end. We did things in a different way. And also quickly realized what's interesting to them because like Killian was obsessed with churches while we were there.
Mhm.
He wanted to light a candle in every church we saw.
Oh.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, which I never knew, about him. And then I was like, oh, well, now that I know this,
Mm-hmm.
next time I travel, right, I'm going to make sure I find, historical churches and we'll have the story behind them for him. And we'll, it's again, making the trip for all of you.
When we travel with the kids, we always try to pull up different places for them to pick. And we'll say, hey, guys, we definitely want to see this, but take a look through this list and see if there's anywhere else that you would like to go see. And then we
Right.
try to make sure that everybody has a place that they want to see for sure.
It's because they're part of planning the itinerary then. And
Right.
then they're more interested. Even when I was older, because your kids are older, Molly, I remember being like that in every picture, like the disgruntled teen, right? In the background, even when we were traveling in Florida, you know what I mean? Because I feel like it was just like there are 4 of us kids and our parents are planning the trip. But like I think if it was like Wednesday had been like the day that Kara picked something, I probably wouldn't look so disgruntled in every photo. That you can just like see the oozing teen angst from me and my sister Maggie in most of
And
the photos.
speaking of teen angst, one thing I would tell parents, please make sure that the kids put their phones down and look around.
Yeah.
When you're traveling. Like, they're going to take pictures with their phones. That's one thing. But I am not even kidding you. There was a vacation a couple years ago, and we were in Florida, and Dylan was sitting in the front seat, our oldest, and I was in the back seat. And I sat there and I watched him take over 100 snaps for Snapchat in like 3 minutes. And I was like, dude, nobody wants to see your face. Like, and it was dumb faces because I could see them all. And I was like, put your phone down and look around. Like, take a look at where you're at.
And take
Don't-
it in. Yeah.
And take it in. Absolutely.
And I think that's hard too. Like, and that's a good point, especially nowadays with screens. We're pretty strict on screens, but like, listen, I'm not gonna lie. Like, when we're at a restaurant or something, I don't care. All my rules go out the window because sometimes you just want a quiet meal,
Yes.
and you want it just to be whatever. So we had to get really creative. We had this magic bag, and some of the things I had gotten in the States, and then what we would do is we would try to add a new thing to it
Oh, that's fun.
every day. Like that was exciting for them for the city. So the bag, but the bag worked great. Like the first, I would say, 6 days. But then when you're like on the back end of the trip, they're like, screw this bag. I've been looking at this bag. I don't need the paint. I don't need this anymore for whatever. We want our tablets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and what happens is like the times you do let them have it, you notice that they miss out on like everything because they turn into zombies. So what we did this trip, which was different, is I got Killian an MP3 player too of just music.
Mm-hmm.
And so because Delaney has one now that like she's gone to camp and stuff. So when things got really tough, I was like, okay, you can listen to your music.
That's
because
a
then
great
they're
idea.
That's a good
listening.
idea.
They're
Right.
listening and looking still.
Right.
But it did work. I mean, that's a really good tip, I think, is that no matter what age they are, like music for kids soothes them. Because I did ask Killian like stuff like, what helps calm your body? Do you find? He's like, when I sing. Oh, because that was the problem. Forgot this too. So once we got past Killian saying the cheese smells everywhere, my kids are obsessed with K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
You know
Yeah.
all the words now too, Jenny? Like, I mean,
Yes.
they never stop singing it, okay?
yes.
I mean, it is an obsession. So imagine Killian in a quiet town in France singing the songs at the top of his lungs after he's gotten over this, like day 2 and 3. He's now over the stinky cheese, but he is just like singing at the top of his lungs and everyone is staring at him. I'm like, oh my God, this is like never ending. But then also like you're trying to, he's like, but I'm outside. I'm like, yeah, man, but you're at a cafe. You're at a French cafe. Shh.
Yes.
He was at the top of his lungs singing every one of the K-pop Demon Hunter songs.
He should have put a little hat on the ground. Maybe he could have made some
That's
extra
what
money.
Brian
I mean,
said.
come
That's what
on.
Brian said. Brian's like, next time we're just gonna set him up.
yeah. Let him make some
Right.
coin
But
for
he-
himself.
Exactly.
He can put his little French hat that we got him on, and he can sit
Yeah.
there in his little straw French hat and sit there and he can sing K-pop Demon Hunters for cash. Lord knows it's so expensive in Paris. That might help. But it was like, that went back to the embarrassment thing too. It's like there's this feeling that when he started singing loud that everyone's like, you're a terrible parent. But when you look at that, what is he? He's singing loud.
Right.
He's not hurting
He's
anyone.
not hurting anyone. He's not, but then his frustration comes in because when I'm telling him not to sing, because then he is going to start having a tantrum, right? Well, what do you mean I can't sing? What am I doing wrong? He's living his best life. He's seeing all this beautiful French stuff and it makes him want to sing at the top of his lungs, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Right.
We let
He's
our
a natural
pride.
entertainer.
Yeah, exactly.
We let our pride as parents and our embarrassment get the best of us because I've been in places before and I've been so frustrated. I'll start, speaking like, a monster, like, sit down.
Right.
If
you don't do it right now, we're not going to see K-pop Demon Hunters for a year.
Yeah. And I've had a few times where the little one's like, oh, mommy, you scared me. And then he'll cry. And then I feel like the worst parent in the world because then everyone's really staring at me. This crazy
then they
lady
think that
who's
you're like
speaking like a
abusing your
monster. So,
And it's panic. It's panic.
It
You
is.
go
and
into
really,
panic.
they're really not doing that much. And
No,
I think that we sometimes just have to get over ourselves and let go of our pride and our embarrassment and just roll with the punches. So
Right.
Well, there's this doctor who's a child psychologist as well. And she always says that you have to, just like in life, we pick and choose, our battles. Like in work, we do it all the time, right? In negotiating. And we forget with our children the most often to do the same. Like, should I really be reacting to this right now? Or is this just my habit as a parent that I'm worried about my own embarrassment, where it might lead or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we constantly forget that as parents. We forget, like, you know what? Like, if it was a colleague who was always embarrassing, you wouldn't correct her every time. You'd be like, oh, here we go. Which way is it going to go, right? It's weird with our children. We're so panicky about what that means about us that we're almost like too hard on them being kids sometimes.
That's
Right.
true.
Like we're
That's
too
true.
hard on them being kids sometimes. And I'm not saying that, listen, I'm not saying that Killian also, my God, he's got a lot of energy and there's, but I do notice that, like, with both my children, sometimes I'm like, I probably shouldn't be upset about this because I think the only reason I'm upset is, one, I'm worried about my own anxiety and embarrassment. And number two, I'm making assumptions of where this is going to lead.
Right.
Right. If they're joking around with each other, I'm afraid they're going to start hitting each other.
Right.
You're right. And it's not true every time. But if I get mad at them, tell them to stop, and they get triggered and they get angry, they could end up hitting each other because now they're going to try to, they don't know how to deal with the emotions. They're feeling the frustration, right? And they take it out on each other. So it's like that whole cause, and you're part of the cause. It's interesting that
It is interesting. The control that we really have over how the situations go as parents, when a lot of times when we're trying to inject that control in our children, at least in my case, it backfires. And
always backfires.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
always backfires.
Right.
And it never turns out. And then they smell your fear like a bee.
they do.
and they literally, like, I had to tell my mom, oh my gosh, I came home and I was like telling my mom, I'm like, you don't know what my kids did to me in the airport when they were like, I think I told you, Jenny, yesterday, jet lagged. It was like they were super tired and cranky, and the line was like astronomically long. And another tip, parents, please get your global entry together if you have a family, because if you don't have global entry and you're 18 or older, there is a fast line where you can get your picture taken and it moves. If you do not have global entry and you are a family, you wait in the 1989 version, right, of the Customs and Passports Authority, where they, you have to go to the desk and there's a lot of people, and and the kids got cranky and they got tired, and so then they on purpose were trying to embarrass me. So when I was like, hey, you need to calm down or we're not going to make it to Nana's, because we were trying to get to my mom's house in the layover, they immediately were trying to throw themselves on the floor. Killing was trying to embarrass me,
Right.
or whatever. And I was telling my mom these stories, and she goes, "Oh, you used to do that too." I'm like, "I did." She's like, "Oh, you would on purpose try to embarrass me? You'd be like, oh, you mean like the time you screamed at me, mother, like in front of everybody?" I was like, "What were they doing? They were like, ganging up on me." She's like, "And it's always the mom. They never do it to the dad."
But just maybe, just like how Killian sat at the cafe and just sat there when the bees were kind of going around him, maybe we need to adopt the same thing. Like at some point,
100%.
you just have to
Let it go.
let it go for a minute, maybe not speak, not say anything.
Yep.
Just stand there like a statue, and then it'll be okay.
And they're not going to keep pushing it.
Because they're not getting
Right.
attention.
Yeah.
They're not getting the attention too. I mean, on a funny note, that happened to me at the bus stop the other day. Shawnee tooted at the bus stop in front of everyone. And I was like, Shawnee. And I shouldn't have said anything because he would have just, laughed and just ignored it. Well, I said something. So then he purposefully tooted again and announced to everyone at the bus stop, including the parents, that he should have saved that one up for the bus.
Right.
I'm just like,
Right, because now you've drawn attention to it, and it's 100% true.
right.
And also, there was another psychologist that said in one of her things that we get into a cycle as parents that we don't realize that, we're so busy, and especially in this day and age, that kids, when they want attention, it's like they'll get attention any way they can.
Oh,
Right.
So
absolutely.
if they're getting that immediate reaction from you, even if it's it being punished, even if it's like, don't do this, if it's horror on your face, to them, they don't know the difference yet between, well, that's love then. I mean, that's a reaction. That's
Right.
the parents immediately saying, okay, I'm paying attention to everything you're doing. So just like we say, hey, kids, get off your phones, right? And we resist the screen time. I think we as parents too have to realize that even if we're not on our phone trying to find directions or texting or whatever, even if it's not even a phone thing, there are so many times where we're in our head thinking about something else, right? Because I mean, a lot of times when I was in that custom line, I'm thinking, if I don't get us out of here in this amount of time, we're not going to see Nana and Papa. They're going to be devastated. Like, I'm thinking a million things in my head. They're thinking, I'm so tired. What did you do to my body that you just flew me at 6 episodes?
Yeah.
And I have to wait in line, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at me. And so it's another thing too. Like, if you just stand still, like you're saying, Molly, and you just kind of like go through the moment and be present
Right.
and acknowledge, you know what? This stinks. This is awful. Right?
Yeah.
This line is terrible. Right?
And it
My
takes
arm-
strength. Takes strength
takes
to be
strength.
that way. Why my sister-in-law said, actually, when she was here visiting me, my brother and sister-in-law live in Rome, and they were visiting, and she was talking about an incident with one of her kids when that child was younger. And she said, my mom gave me the greatest advice because I was so upset about the situation out in public, and I didn't know what to do. And my mom told me, remember, all you have to do is be stronger than them in that moment. And a lot of times that means not giving in to the drama, but just simply being calm and being stronger than them in that moment. And I think that's a lot of
Or not reacting
self-control
at all.
and patience.
Yeah.
Exactly. Not reacting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you're creating the power struggle.
Right. Exactly.
And I think also too, my kids are totally different. But like, even when kids like overreact, whether it be the bee or anything like that, us staying calm, right, is teaching them when to react in a situation, right? Like just by observing, right?
Right.
And I think that's a big thing too. I mean, it goes back to too, I was reading that same article on parenting where it said many people are good with the 80-20 rule in life, or they understand what that means. I mean, the idea that 20% of your effort, right, is going to be 80% of your outcome, meaning like that you're trying all these things, but it's really the 20%, right, that gives you the 80% of the outcome. It's the same with parenting, and people don't realize that. And it's true. I never thought of that like we're making all these efforts, right? And only 20% of what we are doing is giving us the 80% of the outcome that we want, right? So it's like hone in on that 20%, which is what your sister-in-law's mother was saying. Simply just be strong in the moment, whether that's being the bigger, better person or showing that you're not reacting. All these other things we're doing are having little impact,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Yes.
20% of what we're doing is having impact no matter what. That's just the law of all of it, right?
Or making it worse, like my
Or making it
monster
worse.
voice.
Right. Me too, man. Listen, I'm telling you right now, the people in customs must think I'm like a monster or something because they'd be like, they didn't understand that like we were trying to get to see my parents. They're like, you won't let us see our Nana and Papa. Like it sounded like I was like holding them back from seeing my parents. And I was like, and I was just freaking out. Instead of like calmly, what I should have done is been like, it's really hot and made them laugh and said, I think my armpits stink because they would have been like, oh, I'm hot too. And they would have laughed. You know what I mean?
They would said, you could have said like the cheese.
Like the cheese.
My armpits
exactly.
smell like the cheese. Yeah.
My armpits look like the cheese. I wish I could shower whenever, and I want to see them a lot too right now. So we just, this is this terrible situation. But maybe if we all together, right, work,
Right.
we can make, you know.
Right.
But instead, it turns into like these idle threats of like, you won't see your stuffy for a week.
Right. Right.
It's like,
And then they're like,
Yeah.
you know.
and then they're like, my mama abuses me and kills my
Yeah.
stuffy. It's like, oh my gosh. But right. I would like to say a shout out to my mom. I am so sorry that I humiliated you in public just for the heck of it. Because let me tell you, this international travel really made me realize, like, you know what? I need to thank my mama more.
Yes.
'Cause, wow. I do think too, like building your schedules goes back as the biggest tip. You know, if we're going to kind of review tips that we all sort of were talking about, and I think letting them be part of the itinerary
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and lowering your expectations for
Oh,
itinerary.
yes.
yes.
Because I'm good at that because I'm such a go person that I like to dungeon. So I'm either like 100% fast or I want all the shades closed and I don't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is not like that. He gets antsy. For as calm as he is, like he gets antsy anxiety about like things not being scheduled. So realizing and talking as a family ahead of time, the expectations
Yes.
and how do we lower them and what's the B plan? If the kids don't want to get up,
Mm-hmm.
do we really need to force them to get up? What is that repercussion going to be? Right?
Right.
Except for they need to get up before 2:00 in the afternoon.
Well, 100%. 100%. I would say even before noon.
Yes.
Yeah. But like if they want to sleep until 11,
Mm-hmm.
how are we going to adjust our plans? Right. And
Right.
and also like just we had to realize a lot like they needed like downtime in between, even if they weren't napping.
Yeah. They have to decompress because it's a lot for them when they're traveling, and especially
so do we.
overseas.
So
Oh,
do we.
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's good to build it in for everybody.
But it's good for everybody because then when you go to the next place, whether it be dinner or sightseeing somewhere or shopping, you're refreshed. So I think like talking about that as a family ahead of time, first as a couple, and then involving the kids in it, I think is another great idea that I will do the next trip because I think then all of us will know our expectations. Of course, the kids will forget and have to be reminded, but
Right.
us parents won't argue, right?
Right.
yes.
Because we'll know the A and B plan. We'll know the A plan is this, but if it doesn't work out, we're okay with B, right? And then
Right.
there's no judgment behind B. There's no judgment on the kids. There's no judgment on me. There's no judgment on you. You know what I mean? This is the plan. So I think that's another thing too. Like this is advice for couples too. I can tell you, Brian and I have traveled the world together. Some trips have been amazing, like phenomenal. And then other trips, there has been, like arguments and bickering because we didn't go through the same thing. What is packing like? Okay, Brian, I need one part of the suitcase that you don't judge. Right?
Right.
And then I'm going to put as many shoes as I want in, but I understand that we can't have more than 3 bags. So just don't judge this here. Like,
Right.
you know, and then he gets what he wants. And because he's worried about the fact that he knows I shop. So like, how are we getting stuff home? Because he has to carry everything for me. Right. So his anxiety and my anxiety are all valid. But if you talk about this as a couple before you travel, talk about your expectations. What is relaxing on a trip for you?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need? You know what I mean? What don't you
Talk
like?
about your responsibilities.
Your
too. I mean,
responsibilities. Yep.
because my thing is in our household, I like to pack everything. And so my husband will get out all of his clothes because he doesn't know how to pack. So I'm like, just get everything out and I'm happy to pack it for you. It'll take me 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like our responsibilities. We don't get mad at each other. That just is what it is.
And I think too, like it's okay in a family or in a couple if you both have different expectations on the trip.
Yeah.
And if you both have different things you enjoy, where it's not okay is where you start getting mad at each other. And then when you get mad at each other, it's, well, I'm just going to do this or I'm going to do that.
Right.
What kids do too, right? And
Yeah.
I think if you just realize like, okay, well, if we're going to do a go day, I want to have a not so planned lazy day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or,
There's a pool day. You can have a pool
Pool
day.
day.
Exactly.
Or just
Yeah.
sit at the hotel or
Yep.
whatever.
And there's no judgment. Or maybe we do go out, maybe we don't go out. Whatever it might be, I think that helps too. I mean, and just like, we had the crazy magic bag for the kids, it's also like, what are my expectations when I go to dinner? Like, can we do a phone stack? Can both of our phones go aside? You know what I mean? Because I think that that's important too. Like when you're on a trip, even if you're not texting somebody else, I did notice too, like Brian did too, like we would end up looking at our phones and looking at the photos we just took. Right? Like, why am I looking at the photos when I'm sitting next to you? I can do that when I get home.
Right.
You know, like it's just kind of being aware of these things that like and talking them out.
Absolutely.
And I think too, when traveling in general with your kids, have grace on yourself.
Yes.
Like no one cares.
Yeah.
And if they do care, whatever. They're going to care anyway.
They do care. Then
You're not
fuck
going to
them.
see them again.
Right.
Probably.
I
I
know.
mean, that's the thing.
Right.
You're not going to see them again.
Your kids are going to be kids, and you just can't help it sometimes. They're going to get tired. They're going to get hungry. They're going to get sad. They're going to get
They
emotional.
get hangry a lot.
They get hangry, and you just have to be able to take care of them. And if anyone gives you a hard time or is staring at you, F them. You have to do what you have to do to take care of your kids.
Right. And you got to stay
Let them
calm.
be kids.
Let them be kids. Let them be kids. Because
Right.
I remember we were at it was kind of like a rehearsal dinner. It was like the welcome party, and Killian was zipping around chasing a dog. And all I kept thinking was, this is going to be like the Brady Bunch where my kid's going to hit the table and like everything's going to fall off the table. Before that, he ate a whole watermelon. When I tell you they put watermelon out, he ran up there. He must have been so starving because like his whole like circadian rhythm was off. Shoved so much watermelon. And my high school friends didn't know I was there yet. And I'm watching them. They're all laughing at the little boy in the striped cute suit shoving watermelon. They were calling him Watermelon Man. So I walked over and I was like, Watermelon Man's mine. It's Kara Kurtz. They're like, oh my God, we love Watermelon Boy. And I was telling them, I'm like, I've been hiding in the corner because I didn't know how to come over here and say hi to you guys, because I was like, oh my gosh, my son has just eaten the entire watermelon for this party. He's probably
But that's when you walk and make a joke about it.
and I did. I
Yeah.
made a joke.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's boys. Who cares? You know
Right.
what
I think that happens a lot too with parents. You get so paranoid about what people are going to think or what could happen. And really, I think a lot of the time, none of that's really the case.
Right.
Let them live their best life.
Yeah. They're only little for a small amount of time. Just enjoy it.
And they'll remember the trips more than they will the toys. Trust me.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just to recap, I'm going to go over the gross tips for traveling with your kids. European edition, of course. All right. Number one, what I learned, prep your kids before you go, right? It's not just about prepping for the actual trip and packing your suitcase and all the fun things we talked about, but it's also talk to them about what interesting smells, food, or cultural experiences they might be blindsided by, so that you're not freaking out when they react. And even if you don't think of them all, it's a great experience for them to understand that everywhere we go in the world, it's different, right? And then maybe, just maybe, as I learn, you might want to practice what's appropriate to say out loud or not, meaning sometimes we are just talking to each other, right? And we don't need to talk to the whole restaurant or talk to the whole cafe about what smells or not. Or your K-pop demon hunters, okay? We love your voice. Sing away, kid. But, just have a conversation with them, because they have no filter. It's not their fault. So don't be afraid to talk about these things, even if you don't cover all the bases. At least you're having a conversation, and that makes them feel like they're part of the conversation and they're part of the trip, and you're not just punishing them and getting angry at them.
Tip number 2, let go of embarrassment. You cannot obsess, right, over what strangers think. So breathe through it. And if you breathe through it, then you're going to reduce the chaos instead of amplify the chaos, which is a big tip for me. I will call myself out, because kids embarrass you in public all the time. PSA, they're kids. Like smoking, fart jokes. I mean, mine will actually fart in public. Butt jokes. Yes. It's just never ending.
Jenny and Molly, I have a confession to make. I forgot to tell you one thing about the trip.
Okay.
Speaking of embarrassing, I was going to avoid it and not tell the story, but I have to since you're saying this. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Night of the wedding, we have flowery, beautiful sort of sundress gowns on. Mine was a layered dress, so it had several layers. And in order to go to the bathroom, I had to take all layers and pull them up and go to the bathroom. When I got out of the porta-john, I said, Brian, please check my bum and make sure all layers are pulled out of my underwear. Right? Because you have it cranked up.
Oh, no.
Brian did the typical guy thing and said, you're fine, because he's had 7 glasses of champagne. I proceeded to walk by a table that was definitely local Frenchies. And they're laughing, and I realized that my dress is tucked in my underwear.
No.
Brian. Brian.
Yep.
Come on, dude.
All my friends I told the story, I was mortified, right? I was dying and whatever. And then I had to breathe through it. I wanted to start to cry. I felt myself about to cry. And then I thought, you know what? Breathe through it. And I told all my friends, and they all did the same reaction. They all went, Brian, you broke every code of
Yes.
checking properly. But it became a joke. It became the butt of the jokes. And I lived through it to tell this funny story. So,
And you
That-
let go of the embarrassment.
and I let
see?
go of the embarrassment. Yes.
The embarrassment and probably the homicidal feelings that you had for a moment.
My husband, I honestly,
Yes.
yes, the fleeting moments of divorce that crossed my mind as
Right.
every Frenchman sitting at that table saw my butt.
Oh, that's even better. Well, I'm proud of you for breathing through it. And remember, with kids, attention to them equals love, and they're going to take it however they can get it.
Yes.
So if we remain calm, a lot of times it will kind of ease that, and they won't feel like they have to try to get more attention because they're getting attention.
Exactly.
So,
They're getting the right kind of attention, and you're getting the right kind of
Exactly.
reaction.
exactly.
Yes.
I'm proud of you for not killing your husband, though.
Kara, actually, I really love this idea about packing smart and making kids responsible for what they are packing. So make sure we want to give kids their own suitcases. Tell them, hey, why don't we do an inventory list? You've got maybe half of a suitcase. If you want to bring your stuffies or your Legos or whatever it is, you can pack whatever you want to. Also, make sure that they're not overpacking
Right.
because kids are going to also forget things. And that's okay.
And that's
We
why
need
that
to let it
inventory
go.
list is really important. And also,
Exactly.
and also to add on to that, like we said, have them try on the backpack. You try
Yes, I
the
was
backpack
going
on.
to
Yes.
say that.
Everybody carry what they need to carry for a little bit so that you know that you're comfortable with it, because we all make that mistake.
Absolutely.
You don't want to have
Absolutely.
to go get physical therapy on your shoulders
Right.
when you come back.
Right.
So.
And the same with the kids
Yeah.
too. I mean, they, if it's too heavy for them to carry, then that tells them the answer, and you're teaching them,
Right.
how to
Yes.
pack correctly.
Exactly.
And much like you were building in break time for the kids, I love that you said, Molly, too. It wasn't just for the kids; it's for you too.
Right.
Yes.
If we pack too much into sightseeing or even any vacation, it no longer is a vacation. You're right. So make
Right.
sure and I love, Molly, that you plan activities like you say when you do your itinerary. The whole family is involved. They get to pick things
Right.
too. And that's important, I think, is getting the whole family involved in the itinerary and building in break time.
Yes.
I love this one. Embrace the gross but useful tools like our favorite, the bidet.
Yes. Listen, bidet all day.
Bidet all day.
Right. It was a game changer for you and parents.
Yes.
It kept your kids clean. It taught them a little bit of self-awareness.
Mhm.
Yes.
Solved your butt wiping struggle, which I
Yeah, I mean,
completely
listen,
understand. I
The
have
butt
little
struggle
boys.
is real with boys. Yep.
It is so real. They learn about not walking around with dingles, and it's a new thing that they can embrace and learn. And I have to say, Kara, your magic bag hack is amazing because that definitely would have saved the day numerous times with my children, for sure. So that is a great tip.
And make sure you add something in it that they don't know about each time, because that,
Right, a
that's
surprise
that's why it
item.
becomes magical. Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And I think in addition with the magic bag, I think it's great because then they're going to put down any tech or screens that they may
Yes.
want to gravitate towards. So if you've got that magic bag, put the screens down,
Right.
put the phones down, put the tablets down. Let's not be distracted by that. Let's enjoy where we're at and what we're doing.
Be present. And music's
Yep.
another great hack too. I mean, if you can get an MP3 player that doesn't have any downloadable, internet and all that kind of good stuff, it's wonderful to music. And also, I forgot to mention, my 6-year-old we had a little Polaroid camber for him.
Mhm.
So
Oh, that's so
That's a
fun.
good
they
idea.
They printed the paper
Mhm.
out, right? So that was another thing for him, like where he was taking photos. You just have to constantly be thinking about these things, but they do help a lot when you do.
And make sure that you're learning what the rules are abroad.
Yes, like the hotels,
Especially like the hotels, the occupancy rules, things like that.
Uber,
Make sure
how
you're
does
aware
U-
of that.
How does Uber operate?
Oh, yeah. It's a good
From-
one.
yeah.
We were in certain places where Uber worked and it didn't, and a lot of people had trouble with transportation. And nowadays we take these things for granted, and we think if we open our app and it says there's an Uber, and then you hit it, which would happen to a lot of people when we were in the smaller town, and it would drop you 30 minutes later because there really wasn't an Uber. There was one taxi driver in the whole town.
Mhm.
So just kind of being aware of all these things and checking them out, especially if you're traveling with kids, because It's one thing when you're by yourself, right? And you have to
Right.
acclimate to whatever's happening. But when you're trying to get a ride or you're trying to get a hotel room, whatever it might be, when you have your kids with you, you just have to do a little more research.
Right.
Definitely.
And just know that it's all great. It's all great experiences, right?
Wait, I'm still mad at Brian for the dress incident.
Listen, Molly,
too.
you don't even know. There wasn't enough
Brian?
alcohol to give me
Brian?
after that. It was
You
so
better
bad.
start looking at your wife's butt from now on. When she
Right,
asks you
I
to
mean, when I
look,
said, no, I mean, now I just knew when it flashed in front of me. Anytime I've said to him, like, do I look okay? Do I look pretty? He ain't looking. He
well,
ain't
now
looking.
he will.
Now he will.
I think, sadly, this is not the first time my dress has been tucked in my bum.
Didn't you have an incident last year at a wedding?
I did have something. I was trying to remember what
There was a dress mishap or something.
It was another peeing incident.
It was.
That was the tinkle on the dress.
There was sprinkling
Yeah.
when you tinkled.
I knew there was
Sprinkling
another
when I
dress
did.
incident.
Well, those were gowns. This was
Yeah.
like this was just like husband help me out here. I had to tuck everything back to hover in the porta-john and not get my dress in it.
with your granny panties.
Or with my granny panties. With my granny panties.
That is awful.
Yeah, it was listen. I had a couple of high school friends who went up to Brian. They went, Brian.
Yes.
And then someone said, well, at least it was that table. I'm like, that table looked at me all night long when I went by it. So I was just like, they're like, there's the dumb American with her dress and her granny panties.
And her
She
big
can't even
granny
wear
panties.
decent panties to a French wedding. You're in France, lady. What are you doing?
Don't miss new episodes of Oh Gross. Follow wherever you get your podcasts.
Remember to visit our website, ohgross.com, for tips, takeaways, and cool trip photos from France from me.
And be sure to follow us on all socials at It's Oh Gross.
Yes.
Oh, gross. That drama's about to end, 'cause gross. Stop asking for a friend, taboos. Icky's what we do. Psoriasis, podiatrist, and pinworms too. It's so gross. No need for strife, because gross. Life is part of life, it's just science. Yeah, it's not so weird. We got the facts, nothing to fear. Oh, gross. It's just science, no, it's not weird. It's just science, nothing to fear. It's just science, so wipe those tears.